welcome to another week of our Decogged podcast. Today we're gonna have a very special, I guess, topic. I think everybody will relate.
Special to us, especially.
Yeah. What is it?
Because we lived through it.
Yeah. Why don't you say it?
It's how we replaced our full-time jobs.
Very important. I think that's like everybody can relate to this. Everybody, I think, after COVID, especially because of COVID.
Yeah, the great quitting.
Yeah, the great escape.
Yeah. What was that? There was an actual term that they used for it. The great migration or something like that.
Is it resignation?
The great resignation.
Yeah,
I think
it was it.
That's the term.
Yeah, I think I saw this somewhere as well. And this is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been wanting COVID gave them a chance to sort of be at home and sort of really analyze what they want to do for the rest of their lives.
I think not being able to go out and party and drink and shut out all that kind of noise.
Exactly. Yeah.
People had to just sit down with themselves and
twiddling their thumbs.
Reflect on their entire existence in the world.
And I think a lot, even like just on YouTube, like a lot of people I think started doing YouTube because they have, let's say you go into work, right? For the whole day, you're not really working every single. Yeah. For the most part.
I mean, it's very difficult. You're
not always at 100% capacity, right?
Yeah.
So, when you have these pockets of time, I think people started realizing, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
What's the thing? Like, how can I be happy? Like, doing my own thing. And can I do my own thing? What is my own thing?
Exactly. I think that's the biggest question. Like, what is my own thing? And how do I survive doing my own thing?
Exactly.
And that's the question that we asked for so many years. I think the whole reason we started this channel way back pre-COVID. I mean, we started a bunch of different side ventures, and we've kind of gone into this in past videos, but we've done so many things to try to have that freedom, to be able to do our own thing. And I think that question is so hard to answer for anyone, really. But
and it's very personal, so it's like it's not you can't really subscribe or give someone advice necessarily because you don't have the full context.
You don't have and then it's always so scary taking that leap.
Exactly. And I think for us it was always in the cards. It was just the right time. It just so happened everything happened at the right time. We were planning for it anyway, but things fell into place better than we even could have imagined.
I thought it was kind of the perfect storm of things that we were because before NFTs, before even before COVID, we were already thinking about quitting. And I think it was maybe the first, I don't know, it was I want to say the first 6 months of working from home was when I immediately knew I need to quit now. So that's when I told my boss, my supervisor, I called him and I said, hey, look, we need to chat. And then I just told him, and I think it was pre-great resignation. People were still trying to figure out working from home, but I was like, how do I not work? How do I not work at all? Well, at least for somebody, right? In a full-time job. So that's kind of my cutoff point. But I don't know. When did you know you needed to quit?
I think it was always around the same time, later than you. But I feel for you it was you made the drastic sort of cutoff point, right?
Because I had a full-time job, whereas you were in contracts. So you had you could easily pick when you wanted to stop because at the end of this contract I'm gonna
I mean, you would never just stop. Well, you'll never just stop the contract and wait 2 months and then go into another one. But you try to line things up, right? But I think for the most part, it was always at the back of my mind. I still felt like I had things to do. So, for example, working for Sony was one of them. So I don't know. I just think. I was finding a really good reason to leave. That's what I needed. But I always knew that I was going to come back to Australia because I thought Vancouver was super boring. Sorry for any Canadians.
Anyone in Vancouver.
Yeah.
You should check out Australia.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, I still don't get why like bear attacks not for me.
Wait, there's an actual bear tax?
There's bears everywhere. Like when you're hiking and shit. Like
wait, but that's an actual thing, like a bear tax.
Yeah,
like you pay tax to.
Oh no, bear attacks.
Oh, bear attacks. Oh,
yeah, not bear tax.
I thought there's so many bears that they need to look after everybody. They're like, we gotta tax everyone just for your own safety. We need to pay the rangers. We got 300 rangers on payroll.
So we have to pay like bear tax. Oh my god. Thank God, because it's very high tax there. I don't need another bear tax on top of that.
Oh, it seemed like very plausible too. Like of all places in the world with bear tax, it would be like Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, like I thought, like it just wasn't for me. For my career, it was great. Just personally, I think I wanted to come back to Australia. So that was always at the back of my mind. And I think when you sort of handed in your resignation, I wasn't ready yet, but then at the same time, that was when I went to Sony, right? And I sort of I just went ham. I was like there to destroy, but it destroyed me, in a good way. But at the same time, it was just that was the final push, because that was like one thing I wanted to do, like bucket list.
Yeah.
And also because I was so exhausted from it that I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is the time. And I was going through my relationship stuff, so it all just made sense for me to leave Vancouver.
Yeah. It's kind of like you reached the pinnacle of like where you thought the industry was in a way. Like in animation, you're like, oh, I made it to Sony. I'm a senior animator there. Like, there's not much more to go, right?
Yeah.
And then I think when you kind of get to the end of that road and you realize like, oh, like, this is probably not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind doing it here and there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to do this every day forever.
Yeah.
And I think.
Yeah, I think you see the not glass window, like glass ceiling, but it's like.
It's sort of you're running out of road. Like you're in the plane and you're about to take off and you feel like, I can make it. Like if I just keep going down this road.
Yeah.
And then you're running out of road and you see the end and you're like, maybe this isn't for me, maybe maybe the takeoff is not going to happen.
Exactly. And if anybody who knows me knows that I'm somewhat competitive, as in competitive, or at least I'm ambitious with what I want to do, and becoming the best animator. To be honest, at one point that was what I was gunning for, whether it was realistic or not. It was aim for that goal, and where the chips land, I'm okay with it, because then at least I tried, right?
Yeah.
And I thought reaching that pinnacle and that that summit of being the best was something and working on the best project or the hardest thing was gonna give me some satisfaction.
Yeah.
But it was weird because when I get there, and the worst thing is I watch these videos that tell you you hear these videos where it's when you get there, it's not really what it might not be what you think it is.
There's nothing at the top.
Yeah. And then that was exactly sort of the feeling, because it's I would argue Sony is the best studio right now in terms of the style they do stuff, and
I think animation wise,
quality.
Maybe not story and all this and that, but animation wise, I agree. I think Sony's at the top.
Yeah. So so as an animator, that's all I'm looking for, right? The peak. And then when I was surrounded by the people that I was working with, they were awesome, but it just felt kind of when I was done with it, I was like, oh, maybe this is not actually what I want, because I'm not getting that feeling where it's oh, I've made it, let's do even more. Instead I was like, oh, I made it, and I'm sort of taking a step back, because I was like, I feel I sacrificed a lot just to get up to this level. Where sacrificed a lot of time, friends, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. And what now, right? I feel I think that's what a lot of people feel when they're in their jobs.
I think especially when you get up to that stage. I know people that we know, that we talk to, they feel the same way. But you kind of get up to that point, and it's sort of what now, and you're trying to set the next bar, but something that excites you, that you want to push yourself to achieve, and I think you just run out of road in that lane where you're I can't really go much further, it's maybe that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should talk about like how, I guess now that like once we decided to quit, like how we were gonna go about surviving, because I don't think either of us really knew. But we had sort of general ideas.
Yeah, so I guess like the biggest concern for everybody who like decides to quit first is money. Am I gonna survive?
Yeah.
like I think for us it was really, I mean you were teaching already, but I think the immediate thought that I had was, yo, like how long, like from the savings that I have, how long can I survive without having a job?
Yeah.
You know, and to make this thing that we were doing at the time, it was just YouTube. How do we make this thing work within that time? And that's a very scary proposition, right? Because it's like, you know, you basically have to really cut down your spending. You have to, everything revolves around money, you know, like how you're going to survive, you know? Are you going to sacrifice even more? Because I quit because I didn't want to sacrifice as much, right?
Yeah.
But then when you're going into something with no income, you're like, shh. I can't even go to like
I can't
even do like for example boxing, right? Like I like, you know, I have to give that up, you know? Fortunately though, like you were teaching already, and that sort of gave us like, I think that was one of those things where it's like it gave us at least a bit of income to supplement like us
like
doing this
paying
thing.
rent and stuff like that. I think that was kind of that was the unlock for us, is like that made us feel safe about doing this, like as in we didn't have to burn through our savings. It was the teaching, because I sort of I knew I was quitting, you know. I had like a 1.5 year kind of time, like a countdown time. So within that time I was like, how do I try to pay off, you know, rent and like living costs and stuff whilst I'm done. You know, I just started saving a lot of money whilst I was working, but I also was looking for like supplementary income, and then one of them was teaching. And because I was, you know, I've had those years behind me of experience, I could go to like these schools and ask like, hey, you guys looking for a mentor? You know, to help mentor these kids. And, you know, these schools are always trying to look for like people who are, you know, capable. So it just so happened to line up really well for me, where I was like, oh, I managed to do this teaching thing for a little bit before I quit, so I could kind of see how it goes, see how much money it was bringing in. And it was enough from the teaching alone to pay the rent.
That's the biggest thing.
That was the biggest thing. And then whatever afterwards was kind of like, oh, that's just my own, you know, if I decide to live it up, that's coming out of my own savings. But I was okay with that, because it wasn't burning through my savings. You know,
I mean, the biggest thing is rent. I think for anybody, it's rent. Like,
I mean, that's like 80% of the you know, cost of living.
Exactly. The other stuff, like, you know, food, it's, you know, you can survive with, like, you can go real pov, right? But like we used to with tuna.
Tuna sandwiches and instant ramen.
So you could survive through, from that. So, but rent, it's hard. You know, that's the hardest one. And you don't want to live with other people necessarily as well, especially like when we're like 32 and, you know, we need to record videos. Living with like a flatmate is definitely not like an ideal situation. I was considering that to save costs, but thank God, like, like you, last second, a friend hooked me up and got me a job at anim school. So feel free to check out my portfolio if you want to come to my class. That was that changed everything for me. That automatically makes me feel a little bit more at ease. You don't have the fight or flight sort of like, like,
what
am I gonna do?
How am I gonna survive? And I think that kind of feeling, it can be counterproductive too, because you start thinking very short term. So, you know, I think sometimes people who do quit, like maybe like people who haven't thought it through enough, because we've been thinking it through for years. So we kind of have all the pieces, like we know where all the pieces lie, and we know how, like, what we need to do to make, you know, it possible. But I think people who just quit really impulsively, who haven't thought it through, you know, might experience that, like, that fight or flight kind of feeling. And it might hurt in the long term, because they might be doing a lot of short term short-term moves in order to try to survive.
And that would be like a big gamble, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's that's probably what a lot of people are afraid of, is like maybe it is too impulsive to just quit. But I think like, kind of like us, we sort of went through all the like what we need to survive. And then we kind of just checked them off like slowly. It's like, okay, rent is the biggest thing. How do we cover that? And then the teaching has done that for us. And then it's like now that we have that, we have our savings, so we have a decent, just like a
at least a rent covering amount.
Exactly. We have we've got our savings in order to protect ourselves or just like so that we don't have to worry so much. So we have those two things, and then like from there it's like, well, we can do longer term plays. Like we can work on this channel. But we can also explore like things out there that maybe don't have this immediate return in like money, but it might be like a better long-term play.
Exactly.
And like NFTs was one of those things. And we should talk about like, now that we've got the savings, we've got the rent worked out, like what we did next, which is the commissions. The commissions,
And I think even just like talking about my past week, so actually I should start with now we have the rent covered. My next immediate thought was like, okay, how do I cover my other living expenses if I wanted to live a normal life, right? And it's like, doing the things I think I really need, which is at least working out in some capacity, like certain like food, internet, all that stuff, right? So just even talking about this past week, I was surprised because I made like 2,000, like 0.75 ETH. So I think that's around 2,000 something to 3,000 something USD.
Which is
quite,
like that.
Which is
that's pretty, quite a lot
that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Considering not considering tax. This is before tax.
Before tax.
Even after tax, you think of like, if I really think about it, that's actually close to the range, or even like a little bit more than my contract at Sony.
And this isn't even including the teaching that you're doing. So like if things go this way continually, I mean, I doubt it's going to be so consistent. There's probably going to ebb and flow throughout the year. But like, just thinking about like extrapolating this out, it's like, wow, we could potentially make even more doing what we're doing now than we did when we were working in the studio.
Which is crazy, right? Like, and we're using less time.
We're using less time. Like the time that we are spending is going towards things that we value, like that we care about.
And I think sorry. I think that's the important part. Not that we didn't care about animation. It's just like, you go through different life stages. It's just like, right now we're valuing this, and this is what's fun. That's why we're doing it. But you can't help but think there's also that side where it's like, I'm using less time. Like, time does not equal money. I'm using less time and I'm earning the same amount. So why, as a person, like, and if I value what I'm doing right now, why would I not keep doing it?
It's sort of, it was kind of like a win in all fronts. And I think that's kind of, that wasn't even what we were intending to. We were just like, hey, if we can win in some fronts when we quit, it's like, if we can spend more time doing what we love and we make less, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Like, as long as I can survive, I can pay rent, put food on the table, I'm happy to just, take a step back and do what I love. But the fact that I think between the two of us, we've both had some success with our commissions. I think that's probably even like, it's even more validation that I think we made the right choices at the time. But again, like, I think coming back to the beginning, I don't think any of this would have been possible had we not spent the years working in the industry, honing our skills.
Especially generalist skills, or like just you for sure, you for general skills, and me just understanding more than
like
just
understanding
animation.
The pipeline. I think even just that alone is so important. And then understanding the level of quality that people expect. I think there's a lot of things you learn once you're in the industry, like how to manage clients, how to how to talk to a client or a supervisor or anything. I think a lot of those skills are the same soft skills, like you showing your supervisor a shot and having them give you feedback and you being able to receive that in a good way, and these are all skills that I think you develop as you get in the industry more. And just communication skills, I think you get better at communicating as you get more senior, because
you have to communicate.
You have to, yeah,
that's your job.
Exactly. So
but like, let's say for your commissions, like, I guess this is what everybody wants to know. Like, if I want to quit, like, if I do a commission for NFTs, how much should I be earning, or how much should I be charging? For an NFT commission that we're like, for a commission that sort of like what we're doing.
I think it really comes down to how good your quality of work is. But right now for us at our level and the quality that we're delivering, we are charging minimum 0.5 ETH. So we're charging an ETH because we're doing these commissions in the NFT space, so everybody pays in crypto. That's just how the space is, right? So and like, obviously the crypto value in terms of like fiat terms varies. So if in USD it could be 3,000 one day, it could be 2,000 the next, so it fluctuates, but I think on average it's like 2,500. So 0.5 is like 1,200, roughly, on average. Maybe a bit more some days, maybe a bit less, but that's a decent amount, I think, for one commission, which is taking us how long would you say, like a week to
a week, a week to, well, my one took 2 weeks because I was also like, I was, how do you say it, learning some stuff that I haven't touched before as well. I think you're using that as an opportunity to like learn some new techniques. So that was my main thing, like, because you have to use like, as a generalist, you have to use different softwares, and it's almost like you take these opportunities whilst on the job to learn these new techniques. Like you almost force yourself out of necessity to. Exactly. I think we mentioned that before. Like, I think that's one of the best ways to learn is. You need to put your foot in the fire, in order for you to feel some like there's some stake in it, right? So I agree. Like 0.5 to 0.75, like at least 0.5 ETH. That's the minimum that we've been setting. I mean, I've been doing a lot of, like, I guess you could call it free collabs, where I've been collaborating with different projects, but that's different. Like that's for exposure. So I think that's something we should mention as well. Like, we only got these commissions because we've put ourselves out there. I think in terms of marketing ourselves, because there's nobody who would just approach you and just like pay you like 0.5 ETH. Out of thin air. So we had to prove that we could do these things. So we've been putting up work ourselves, on Twitter as kind of our our body of work, almost like saying like, hey, this is the quality that we can deliver. Be reaching out and like collaborating with other projects to get exposure, so that people will actually approach you to do these kind of things. It's almost like like you're hunting for these clients. So there's a whole aspect there too, where it's like there is an initial investment in terms of time to get the clients, but once you have them, you can establish like a relationship, and they could be like like long-term clients where they want you to do more and more work continually. So. Exactly, and that's like the guy that you referred me to, and he was also the guy that gave me the 0.75 ETH, and then now I'm working, like, he's giving me another one that's following that. So that's another, another 2 weeks of work, and that's like, if 2 payments of 0.75, that's 1.5 ETH for 4 weeks of work. 4 weeks of work, and that's more than my my Sony gig for sure. And then, including my teaching. So that is a very, like, it's a very real thing. Like, and also, for people who, like, there's more people coming into the space, right? So this, how much we're charging, it is going to change. The way we see it, I think it's going to, like, there's more demand for it. So I think it's going to go up. So if anything, like, it's not going to be 0.5 ETH. Maybe it will be 0.6 ETH.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
That you can like maybe that's the minimum.
Yeah. I think it depends a lot on like the market and how the market reacts, I guess, to
exactly.
You know, to both crypto and NFTs, because you know, it's kind of tied. In that sense, but I think like certainly as our personal brand grows and as we form more and more connections, naturally you'll meet more and more people who have the capital to pay you like better. So, and I think one really good thing about the NFT space, which I don't think some people like don't really know, is like there's a lot of emphasis on the artist. Like it's very, very artist centric. Like artists are at the forefront of NFTs.
Yeah.
They're almost like heralded as, you know, these like these people like to be, you know, to be respected and to be treated well. And that's something that I haven't seen ever in any other field, where the artist is at the very forefront of, you know, the projects, where it's like it's all about the art, you know, or like it's about like it's a large part about the art, especially when it comes to these one-on-one arts.
Oh yeah.
But the artists themselves are like highly respected, and people want to pay them because that's just kind of the Web3 ethos. I think.
It's very interesting, really. Like the whole one of one space. It's definitely more supportive than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Of course, some is like a false sort of positivity, but I think for the most part, these one of one communities are definitely like they want everybody to make it in like as an artist, because it's like if you do well, then I do well, then if I can charge more, then you can charge more.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it just like keeps going.
It's not a race to the bottom, and I think that mentality has plagued like us as artists for the longest time, because it's always been a race to the bottom. It's like who can charge less and who can do it quicker, who can charge less, who can do it quicker. But now it's not so much about that. I think now people are starting to value the quality. It's like it's not who could do less. It's like I'll pay you whatever you want to get paid. It's just like, you know, can you do a good job? Like that's what matters right now. It's like, because the quality does matter especially in the space where there's so like many projects and there's so many people out there building things that have just bad quality art. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There's a lot of crap stuff out there in the NFT world.
It's horrible. Some of them is really, really, really bad.
And I think, you know, because we're early in a sense too, where what we are producing is like just like steps above what everybody else is at the moment, that it is giving us like definitely some sort of advantage. And I think, you know, maybe as more people come in, it's gonna level out a little bit. But I still think that whole mentality of, you know, like valuing the artist, I think, you know, I hope that's something that stays.
Yeah. I mean, we never know about this, but this is honestly, I feel like the most that I feel like artists has been empowered. If you think about it, even just like if we go back to like monetary reasons, right? Like I got offered to do 3 months of work for 10 ETH. Given of course I said no, because I do feel like there's more, it's worth more.
Yeah.
But I didn't even negotiate. That was the base, right? It should be a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, you know.
It should be a lot more.
Like, I think, you know, like, as someone who commits that much time to a given project, you should be getting royalties. So I think
exactly.
That's the difference.
And you can in this situation, right? In this NFT space. But what I'm saying is like, that's already significantly more than like, not significantly, but that's more than what I would earn as a, you know, a senior artist. Like including my teaching, right?
Yeah.
Like per month, that's more already, and it's like, it really makes you like really think about like, there's not one way to make money and survive being an artist. It's not just going to a studio. Yeah. You know, you can still go to the studio because there's things to learn there. There is practical knowledge and being
in a team environment.
Yeah, I think team environment. Yeah, learning from other people that's a very vital, like a very vital skill.
Like I don't think we could do what we're doing now if had we not gone through that process. So it is almost like a rite of passage. I feel like. I mean, you don't have to go to a studio. I mean, that being said, I'm sure there's plenty of animators and artists and people out there who made it just on their own. But you know, like you mentioned, there are valuable things like lessons to be learned.
Yeah.
Going that.
It does give you a stamp of approval too, like on paper. Like, whether people like it or not, like that is like. Yeah,
it has some value to say. Like, I worked on these films, and and then people are like, oh, you worked on that. That's there is like that whole aspect. But I mean, I guess I want to preface by saying like it's not like you have to do NFTs to make it too. Like there's so many other ways to make it like outside of this space too. I think but that's that's probably something for another topic, like other methods to make money. But
I mean, I think this is like, as an artist, I think what people should take out of this, like I guess this episode, is that we did make like $2,000 to more than $2,000 in 2 weeks, and we did it just from being at home and sort of like freelancing. You know what I mean? And it's you can how do you say it? It frees up the rest of your other days. For example, for us, we work on our own project for the other half of the day. So we split our days in half, right? We work on our own project and work on our commissions. And that's like very freeing because just we're not earning necessarily anything from building our own project, but that will come. And
it's sort of one thing that we're doing is like our love, like our passion, right? So whether that blows up or not is beside the point. We're still enjoying doing that. But like in terms of the money side, like now that we have that covered, it's a huge deal. So I think I guess when you think about it, like that's how one can replace their full-time job. Like that, when you think about it, that's the process that we took. And I think maybe that's a good train of thought. I think if you're thinking about quitting, it's like, how do I replace the rent? How do I have like a savings like a savings bank, so that I can on a rainy day or something, or like just so I can use some of that if I want to live a little bit more comfortably. And then like, how do I start to make more income, like on top of what I used to make? So then that's the progression. I think it's like safety and like consistency and stability, and then like
the extra stuff.
The extra stuff.
I think if I really have to break it down, it's like rent first. If you can cover rent, you're pretty much good. And then then the next steps, like the next things that are important: phone, internet,
all your utilities and stuff.
I guess that's
you need to have that savings too, I think, because if you don't have any savings, I think you could put yourself in like a position where you do have to go back and go back to a working job again. And then like I think when we made the commitment to quit, it's like the going back is like, it's not really an option. I mean, it's an option, but it's like that's like the last option. Right? It's like
that's a pretty good last option, to be honest. Like we were a pretty lucky like contingency plan. Compared to most other people.
Exactly. I think some people who do quit, like they just won't. I mean, if you're in a different field, maybe if you quit, that's it. It'll be very difficult to find another job. But because we all do contract work in our industry, if you quit, you can always go back to contract work.
It's like you're sort of in the same spot. Like,
exactly.
I was gonna say something. It definitely slipped my mind.
It was like that nugget. It's just like that nugget's gone now. It'll never come back.
I hate it.
I'm sorry, guys. That would have been that would have rounded out the entire podcast.
I was actually trying to like round it out. Oh man, that's annoying. I hate it when that happens. But anyway, so I don't think like it's always hardest to take the first step. It's very daunting. It's very scary. But I think what I noticed, like, because people ask us this all the time as well, like, especially like friends ask me like, oh, how did you quit?
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, it was a foregone conclusion. But don't get me wrong, I was still scared when I was quitting.
Yeah.
But I think once you quit, naturally, if you're not like a lazy piece of shit, like,
yeah, if you're not just sitting around not doing anything,
like you would, like, because you got nothing, like
it's do or die time. It's kind of like you have to do something now that you quit to make. It's sort of like you don't want to build up this whole thing where it's like, once I quit, it's like the stars are gonna align and all this and that. But it's like once you quit, you're gonna have to grind. Like that's just the simple fact, right? It's like when you quit, then you have to like everything. That's when the real grind begins, because now it's like you're on your own now. You have to figure it out. Yeah. And I think naturally that kind of comes back to that fight or flight mentality as well. Like you want to just get in there and do something, right?
Yeah.
But I think the way we did it was also nice, because it wasn't like we kind of tampered some of that fight or flight mentality, so we can think a little bit more long term as well. Yeah. And I think that helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps. If you have that option, definitely definitely go that route, like where you can temper the fight or flight. But I think what I'm trying to say is that it is fight or flight, but when you're going through it, because you got no other choice, it's not as daunting as you think. It's not as bad. You're adapting. You're just
I think it's always adapting. Sometimes maybe when you think, oh, I can quit, like that almost seems like the end of the road, right? Like, look, I can never go back or whatever. Yeah. But once you quit, you always realize, like, oh, if I ever need to get a job, I can just go back, and I'll be doing the same thing. It's not like anything would have changed, right?
Yeah. Especially if you're still staying in relatively the same field, you're still creating. If you're still animating, that's partially why I took the teaching job, because it keeps me in that realm, in that space, and I have to work on it still, so I don't get rusty. But to be honest, I won't, because it's so ingrained, right? Like it's muscle memory. So it's just not as big. It's not like the sky is falling down like when you quit. It really isn't. And I think a lot of people, when they do ask us, it's like that. They feel like that. Yeah. And I tell them, it's you literally just don't sign another contract.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just
you have a rough plan.
Just have save some money now.
Yeah.
Stop going out and eating eating those luxurious meals and
like $25 chirashi bowls, this fresh sushi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe cut down from like 3 coffees to like 1.
Yeah.
And then maybe stop smoking or something. And then
that's a big thing. Yeah, that is definitely a big thing.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of smokers out there in the industry, but
especially in Australia.
But if you cut down on some of those things, you have some savings for yourself when you do quit that contract, and then if you have that experience in the industry, if you're a senior, or you're a lead, or you're a supervisor, or you're whatever, you've you've been through the gauntlet, you've proved yourself, you have that experience, you can maybe do what we did and try to look for places that are willing to hire a mentor. And there's so many online schools out there now. It's like, oh man, if one doesn't want you, there's plenty others out there.
Yeah, it's insane.
Everybody's looking for good mentors, because I think, funnily enough, this great resignation, even though it's happening like across the board in all these different fields, when I think about like where everybody's migrating to, it's like if you're in like nursing or like whatever, if you're in accounting or something and you quit, like what's the natural place that a lot of these people would want to go? And I think it's into the arts, right? You're like, I want to be an artist, I want to create, I want to
I think something creative.
Something creative. Yeah. So I think just from me alone, I've seen a huge influx of people who are coming into these online schools, trying to learn animation, trying to learn 3D. So the demand for 3D now, with like Web3, NFTs, metaverse, all this stuff,
Netflix.
Netflix. Oh man, so many shows, HBO, everybody wants to do their own thing. Amazon's got their own thing going. So there's so much demand for like content creators, 3D creators, animators, artists. So much demand out there. Everybody's trying to flock into it and get creative. So I think what better time than to
do it now?
Yeah, than to do it now. Like,
exactly. that's a very I think that's a very good way to summarize it. Like, there's no better time than now as an artist. It will have its corrections, but I think there's just people are like craving content. Like any form of content, games, like art, like shows. Jesus, I can't even like I have never seen so many freaking 3D animated like shows and games.
There's so many shows
stuff.
out now. I used to I remember when I used to keep track of this stuff. You know, it was maybe like you have like 4 animated features a year that you're like Now there's like 20 or something. You know, you can't even watch them all. I don't even have the time to watch them all now.
It's so crazy. It just felt like it just hit.
It's all hit at one. This would be another great topic, like the boom of 3D. And maybe the bust. We can talk about the bust and how it's gonna bust. But this could be another good podcast.
Hopefully we'll remember, because we always forget.
We always forget.
But this time we should write it down. Very cool. Well, I think that's all we got for this week. I hope you guys found this useful. I hope you guys can take something away from this, because I think it's really,
I mean, it's super scary. Personal. I mean, probably not a lot of people would talk about this outside of, you know, maybe your closest friends who have done it. But I feel like the reason we wanted to do these podcasts is to like give out the information. We're giving out like how much we're charging and like how we're trying to get these clients. There's so much info out there. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe and keep watching, because as we learn and as we grow, we'll be giving out this free info, you know.
Exactly.
Or free alpha as they call it in NFT space.
Like, I think like being like knowing how much to charge is a very important thing. That's a very taboo thing back in when we used to work. And I even just like I mentioned indirectly what my salary was, even just, you know, in this podcast with Sony. But people never talk about it.
People never talk about these things, and I think that's kind of the curse that they've placed on us. Like, they don't want us to talk. Like, they, as in like the studios, and they don't want us to talk because they don't want each other to know if you're getting underpaid. And there's so many people out there getting underpaid. You know, I was probably one of them who was getting underpaid for a long time. But I think the more that we can share and teach each other, like the stronger we'll be as a community. And this is something that I always had at the back of my mind, from, I don't know if anyone's ever read VFX Warrior, the blog, but it's a great blog post, like a great blog in general, just talking about like the art scene and things. Like, it touches upon topics like guilds, unions, unionization, the industry, all this sort of stuff. It talks about in depth about all these things. But one of the most important thing is like, it is healthy for us to talk about how much we get paid, because that's the only way that we'll know. Like, if you had a friend who was getting underpaid, the only way that they're going to know they're underpaid is if you tell them how much they should be getting paid and how much you're getting paid. So
I mean, I don't blame studios either. Their business, they're trying to keep costs low. If you had a business, you try to keep costs low, but then, you know, you're also like, you know, what your salary is your power to negotiate, right? But because the only thing is, it's because we're so blind, because we don't know what other people are earning. That's why we lowball ourselves, and that's something that, you know,
it's hurtful to us as
it's
artists.
Like we shoot ourselves in the foot.
It's the same the race to the bottom thing again. And it's been like that. I think the whole business model, and this is probably a whole nother podcast, but the whole business model it's always been a race to the bottom. You know, these VFX companies, these VFX houses, or like, you know, just outsourced places, everybody's kind of trying to do the most work with the minimum amount of cost at the quickest amount of time. It makes sense, but like, naturally what happens is you end up with the race to the bottom, and the quality is the thing that gets sacrificed
eventually. Ultimately. So if you want to hear more about like more topics about these kind of things, please let us know in the comment section below. And like Billy said earlier, like and subscribe if you like the videos, and click on the notification bell. But until next time, peace. Thanks for watching or listening to our content. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks again. Peace.